Pretty dark and cold out here this morning. I noticed some of my Yankee friends are giving me a hard time for complaining about the cold, but I guess it's all relative. I hear what you're saying, but I am cold. I'm a Florida boy, southerner. Got salt water in my veins. Quick thought from today's one-year Bible reading. In the New Testament portion is 1 Peter chapter 3, and Peter says to don't return insult for insult. When somebody insults you, return a blessing. Well, that's not fair. No, it's not fair. God hasn't called us to be fair. He's called us to follow in Jesus' steps, and that means suffering. If it's God's will that we should suffer for doing good, then so be it. That's what Jesus did. Don't suffer for doing evil, but we can suffer for doing good, and God takes note, and he will bless us for that. After all, he says, Jesus took upon himself the sins of the whole world. That wasn't fair, but it worked out pretty good for us. Therefore, now baptism saves us. Not the washing of dirt off of our bodies, but when we're immersed in that water, the power of the resurrection goes to work and regenerates our hearts. We're saved, he says, by the power of the resurrection of Jesus Christ in and at our baptism. If you haven't been baptized, get out there, find a puddle, and get yourself baptized today. But I know most of you have, so I'm not going to harp on that. Hey, when I was in customer service, working in the business world, we came in and there was a customer of the company who was all upset. They hated the company because of something that went wrong. One of our greatest pleasures was to turn that customer. That's an expression: when you turn a customer, that means that by the time they leave, you've been so reasonable and thoughtful and listened and sympathetic that now they love your company. You know, you've given them satisfaction, and they love your company. When at first they came in, they hated your company. And that's what happens when we return that blessing for a curse. When we're reasonable, when we listen, and we turn the other cheek, we're going to stand out. We're going to be so unique from all the other people that folks run into in the world. It's going to be a great testimony for Christ. And who knows? Not always, but sometimes you may turn that enemy into a friend and a brother and a sister. Well, that's what I'm going to try to do today. Perhaps you will as well. That certainly is an example that Jesus set for us, that we would follow in his steps. So God loves you, my reasonable friends, and so do I. The sun will come up tomorrow.